Hello, fourth graders. So, what I'm going to show you today is I'm going to show you how we're going to be practicing our first things first painting activity. So, this is just going to be a practice, it's not going to be a real one. And what I would like you to do is when you're choosing your image for this, I would like you to choose something in a natural environment. So, not like cities or anything, because we're going to be getting into cityscapes in the next lesson. Okay, so let me show you kind of the image that I chose. So when you see me painting, I'm going to be referencing from this photo. There's lots of different photos of sunsets and silhouettes. So I'd like you to choose something with that. So this is what I chose. You can choose different image just as long as it's not like a cityscape. All right, oops. Let me go back to that. That was from our old lesson. All right, so you're going to need some things. You're going to need your watercolors. You need water cup. And then I know a lot of you just have the brush that it comes with. That is just fine. But if you do have additional brushes, I have like a tiny one, and it really helps for the background if you have the like a flat tip brush. But if you don't, that's okay. When I was growing up, all I had was watercolors and the brush that it came with, and I made it work. It's just kind of learning the materials and how you can manipulate them to get the look that you want. All right, so what I like to do before I start painting with watercolors is I prep the watercolors. So what that just is just putting a drop of water into the watercolors. And so what that's going to do is that's going to activate it. And so that's going to get the watercolors nice and bright, nice and juicy, and get it ready for you to use. And so I just gotta kind of let that sink in for a little bit. Before you start painting, you should get your brush wet. And so that just helps it glide across the page. If you notice any scratchy marks when you're using watercolors, that means you either need more paint or you need more water. All right, so I'm gonna start off with my sunset. And let me just kind of look at what colors I'm going for. And so I'm seeing some blue, I'm seeing some purple, lavender. We got that sun right there, some red, some orange. This is going to be really fun to paint. All right, so when you do this, you're going to want to start off with the top color. And this is not like our last lesson where we painted what we saw. You can if you want to, but this is a little bit more like relaxed. So if you want to like substitute colors, that's totally fine. All right, so I'm going to start off with kind of like the purple and the blue in the sky. And so I'm going to get that ready. And I'm just going to kind of, in horizontal strokes, I'm just going to kind of go there. I'm kind of using blue and purple at the same time. I just dip my brush back in to the water. I'm not really rinsing it off because I like those colors to kind of blend together. And so if there's still a little bit on your brush, that is okay. Let's see, a little bit more purple. And get to that very edge. Remember, part of a good composition is using the whole page. That might take some practice though. I'll go into my red. And I'm using a lot of water with this just because I kind of want to get that nice, like light pastel-y look. But if you're using more pigment, which means that you want it to be brighter, then you're going to use less water so you get a brighter color. Go into my orange. Notice that I'm overlapping it a little bit. That's good for blending. And then I'm just going to use a smaller brush real quick just to kind of get just a little area for the sun. And then I'm going to kind of blend that together. And notice it's looking kind of spotty right now. That's because it's wet. This unit is going to be all about patience and letting things dry before you move on to the middle ground and then the foreground. Mix a little bit of yellow into that. bit of orange. All right. Let me look back at my water because I'm not quite sure. All right, so I see like a little highlight of orange or yellow. Let's see, so I see some purple down there. Oh, and there's a little landmass. That's going to be more in the middle ground. I'm going to add that later, but I just wanted to look back at that so I could see what colors there were. A little bit of blue. Kind of saving some white. Using watercolors is about saving the white where you want to put like lighter colors or if you want to leave white there. It's all about saving the white. Using things like tempera or acrylic, you can just layer colors over. But watercolors, it's about saving where you want to put lighter colors. So I'm just going to save a little bit there. I think maybe I'll put a little bit of red. Kind of in there, kind of overlap that. And now I see how I'm kind of using these strokes. It kind of mimics the ocean's waves. So I'm kind of making those lines in there for that. And then for that streak down the middle, I think I'm going to do a little bit of orange kind of going in there. Remember, this doesn't have to be exact, which is what I love. I'm not really an exact person. In the last unit, I was pretty exact, but I love not to be exact. All right. So as I'm finishing up, the next step is to be patient. The next step is to let this baby dry because we have to put the next layer on top because painting order and layering of detail is all about layering these colors. All right, so I need to let this baby dry before I move on to any other details. So now it's time to be patient and I don't know, maybe do some reading while it's drying. It should dry pretty fast. I like to kind of, and you'll be super careful because I did this on like printer paper, copier paper. It's going to be really wet. I just kind of like to go up and down, very carefully, get some of that airflow under there, and just let it dry. It should take like maybe 10-ish minutes and let that dry. So I'm going to come back after it has dried. All right, so I am back. So I'm not gonna lie, that took a little bit longer than 10 minutes because it was very, very wet. But I don't know if you noticed now, like all those wet spots have dried and it's a little more even now. Okay, so I'm gonna look back at my image, and so I'm noticing in the middle ground there's some clouds, and it's up to you if you want to add those. I might, or I might just skip to the foreground. It's kind of up to you. This is all about layering. So if you have at least make 2 layers for this practice, then that's totally fine. I'm going to go back to here. All right, so I'm going to use my smaller brush now, the one that came with this. And so I'm going to get it wet. And I think I am going to make a couple of clouds. So I'm just going to go in. I don't want it to be too dark because those clouds were kind of like wispy. So make sure using more water gives a more translucent effect. And then using more pigment gives it a brighter effect. So make sure that you have that. So I'm going to be using lots of water. If you can tell up here, I really like to dilute my colors and kind of play with those colors up in the top of my in my palette. So I'm just going to make some clouds. Adding a little bit more water to kind of create that translucent effect. If you didn't know, translucent means that you can see through it, but there's still some parts that you can't. Opaque means you can't see through it at all. And transparent means you can completely see through it. Making my clouds just different sizes. Part of a good composition as well. So showing some clouds are kind of far away off in the distance. Cropping also helps. Good composition. All right. So I think that will be okay for me to move on to the foreground. Let me just kind of look at that for a second. So I'm noticing it's very, very dark. So you might be using black or even some purple to make that foreground. All right. So I'm gonna go. I think I might mix black and purple together, just because sometimes straight black looks a little but I'm going to be mixing that with some purple and some water. And if you need to draw this out first in pencil, that's totally fine. I'm just going to go for it. We'll see how it kind of works out. So I'm just kind of guiding where I want this to go. Let's see. I kind of want my palm tree kind of right here. Remember, this is more relaxed. This is more how you want it to go. I'm just marking out where the leaves of my palm tree are going to go. My one that's a little bit higher. And it's kind of bleeding out. I don't know if you can see that because that's damp. That's why we wait. But I'm just gonna keep going on this. It was while I was waiting, I was like there were times where I was like, oh, I think I can do it now, but no, you gotta wait till it is dry, 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 dry. Otherwise you're gonna get a fuzzy effect. And that's not what we want, especially in the foreground because it's crisp and clear in the foreground. Oh, that's looking great. I think I want to add another one right here. Just kind of that space was kind of like making me a little. So, is there anything else I want to add? There is an island there, and there is a boat. Could kind of add that. So just like a little hint of like a boat, maybe off in the distance. Not making it too dark. Maybe like someone like kind of sitting in the boat, kind of right there. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to add that island. All right, so yeah, that's painting order and layering of detail. Basically making sure you have a lot of patience. All right, thanks for watching.